Good evening, everyone. I'm Congressman Joaquin Castro, and it's my distinct honor to serve on the Board of Directors for the National Endowment for Democracy. And I want to say thank you to Ken Wallach, who's done a great job leading the board, and also to Damon Wilson. And the incredible staff of NED, and of course all the folks who made it possible for us to convene and recognize these honorees tonight. For decades, even as our nation became more polarized politically, Congress has maintained steadfast bipartisan support for the people of Tibet. Just yesterday, I joined my colleagues in the House of Representatives to pass bipartisan legislation, the Resolve Tibet Act, that President Biden will soon sign into law, strengthening America's commitment to Tibet and reiterating our dedication to its future. As you know, the Tibetan people have a long and proud history, deeply rooted to the historical lands of Tibet. Ever since China's invasion of Tibet in 1950, the Tibetan people have struggled to maintain their culture, religion, and autonomy in the face of an escalating pattern of repression by Chinese authorities. In recent years, despite an alarming rise in forced population transfers and other crimes against the Tibetan people, Tibet's leaders, particularly those in the Tibetan government in exile, have done remarkable work to keep hope alive among their countrymen. In 2021, the election of Sikyong saw 77% turnout, a number that, quite honestly, we're jealous of here in the United States. It was the highest turnout in the history of the government in exile and a powerful sign of the yearning for democracy within Tibet. Since taking office, Sikyong has worked to counter Chinese influence and mobilize Tibet's allies to speak up against the suppression of cultural identity within Tibet. In recognition of those efforts, it's my honor to present the 2024 Democracy Service Medal to Sikyong Penpa Tsering on behalf of the National Endowment for Democracy. Sikyong Tsering, please join us on stage.
Sikyong Penpa is the second democratically elected head of the Central Tibetan Administration. He has dedicated his life to fighting for the rights of the Tibetan people and safeguarding the culture of Tibet as a civil society leader and speaker of the Tibetan Parliament in exile. Since his election as Sikyong in 2021, he has worked to strengthen the CTA's governance, advocated for the Tibetan people with world leaders, and raised concerns about policies restricting Tibetans' rights and culture. He has also worked tirelessly to secure the release of Tibetan political prisoners and pursue dialogue with the Chinese government. Sikyong Penpa represents the aspirations of the Tibetan democracy movement, which serves as an inspiration for oppressed peoples everywhere who are seeking freedom and dignity.
Excellencies, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, I can see Speaker Pelosi has arrived here already. I want to thank the NED board members, past leader Carl Gushman, who has worked very closely with the Tibetans for many years in his 30+ years of career here at NED, and the present leader, Damon Wilson, and his team for honoring us with this service medal. My name is Penpa, as you must have heard. Penpa is a very simple name in Tibetan. It's just P-E-N plus P-A, means Saturday, because I know I was born on a Saturday. I don't know the year, I don't know the month, because those days there were no records in the exile community. So I also want to congratulate all the honorees that the NED honored tonight, and over the years they have been honoring. I am a very ordinary person. I just try to follow His Holiness' wisdom. Whatever we have today, we owe it to His Holiness the Dalai Lama. He is the architect, he is the spirit behind everything that we are now or what we have today. I personally have not contributed as much as you would have hoped I had. It's just 30 years of my service for the Tibetan people, and this award is for the people I serve, for the Tibetan people, for the Central Tibetan Administration. I just want to inform you that perhaps we are the only government in exile with a fully functional democratic polity. Those of you who have been to Dharamsala have seen, witnessed the institutions that we have, our cabinet, our Supreme Justice Commission, the Parliament, and the 3 autonomous bodies of Election Commission, Auditor General's Office, and Public Service Commission. We have a cabinet with 7 ministries in India, and it's all thanks to the Indian government and the support that we receive from the US government. The situation inside Tibet, as you have seen from Tibet Action Institute's activities, points towards cultural genocide inside Tibet. Because China, when the whole world is moving towards multiculturalism, China is the only country that's moving towards uniculturalism at the expense of identities of all the nationalities inside China, whether it's the Mongols or the Uyghurs or the Tibetans. Our Hong Kong friends are also here. Taiwan is also suffering because of China. So what is going on inside Tibet and what Tibet Action Institute has reported is one part of what is happening inside Tibet, the colonial-style boarding schools. There are many, many other issues. What you take it for granted in the United States and other countries in the free world does not exist in Tibet. You just take a picture of His Holiness Dalai Lama and you go to jail for 3 years, at least. So that is the level of control and restriction that's happening inside Tibet. And I have been traveling around the world, telling the story of Tibet, what is happening inside Tibet. And I also tell the international community that if you repeat the statement that Tibet is part of PRC, you're going against international law, because whether it's happening to Ukraine today or whether it happened to Tibet 70 years ago, it was the same international law. And I also tell countries that on the one hand, they say Tibet is part of PRC, and on the other hand, they say, we support negotiations between Representative His Holiness Dalai Lama and the Chinese government. And I tell them, you are removing the very ground for negotiations. When every country admits that Tibet is part of PRC, then where is the reason for China to come and talk to us? Then I also ask governments, why do you think China is asking other countries to say Tibet, only Tibet is part of PRC? That is because the Chinese government knows that they have no legitimacy of their rule in Tibet. And that is why they are trying to seek that legitimacy from the international community. So I also want to take this opportunity to thank our friends in the Congress, particularly led by Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, and Honorable Representative Castro also mentioned about the Tibet Resolve Act, which is meant to promote negotiation and resolve the Sino-Tibet conflict. And this is a bipartisan bill, bicameral, and this was approved. Just yesterday, it got approved in the House through the suspension of rules to reconcile the wordings between the Senate and the House, and hopefully it'll go to the President's office very soon. And I also want to inform you that we have a congressional delegation coming to Dharamsala, led by Michael McCall, Chair of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and Representative Meeks, Minority Leader in the Senate House Foreign Affairs Committee, and Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi will also be joining this delegation, and they are planning to leave tomorrow. So I have to be back in Dharamsala before they reach Dharamsala. In fact, I came this morning, so I'm still a little bit groggy. But I really appreciate this opportunity to be here and to speak about Tibet and the Tibet Action Institute and the role that they have played. Now, all we can say is we tell countries, please don't look at us only from the perspective of being a victim of communism. Nobody wants anarchy in China. But at the same time, we have to make China accountable for what they are doing. China is a threat not only to the nationalities within China, like Tibetans, Uyghurs, and Mongols, but it's a threat to the whole world. Because they are not talking only about repression, not imposing repression inside Tibet, but they want to export their system of governance in the name of global security initiative, global economic initiative, global civilizational initiative. So these are a real danger and threat to the free world, and we all need to work together to make China accountable. We are born in this world as a free person. All human beings are born to be free, not to be enslaved physically or mentally. And this is exactly what is happening inside Tibet, and we need your support more than ever before. And thank you again for honoring us with this award. And I received this very humbly on behalf of all the Tibetans inside Tibet and outside Tibet, and on behalf of all my colleagues who are in Dharamsala, because democracy doesn't happen because of one person. It happens because of everybody. Thank you very much.